just little by little remembering that we are the technology, and the avatar, the physical body that we have, is the most sophisticated technology that exists, because with this avatar, the consciousness, which is what you are, can experience life as if it was real, as if it was true. Hello everyone, this is Kevlan, and in this video I want to talk about our reality, how integrated we are with our reality, and I want you just to share some my own perspective, my own inner knowing, and what I've experienced over the last a little while, when I just look at my life, look at how integrated I am with my life, and integrated I am with this external world that we see outside of us. And to start this video, I would just want to give you an analogy. Just imagine that you are just on a chair watching this big screen, and just imagine a big screen that is just in front of you and just going all around you, covering all the space in front of you. The watcher, the person sitting on a chair, is your own consciousness. He's the observer of this big play, this big screen that is in front of you. And the screen is basically reality as we perceive it, as we see it. And then the story that is playing in that screen is basically your own life. It's basically your own story and the way you identify yourself with your external world. And obviously the characters you see in that story is your avatar, is basically the character is directly connected to that observer, and everything he senses, everything he perceives in this life, in this big story, is just sent to the consciousness, to the observer, and that's how the observer, the consciousness, can experience life in this 3D reality. If we see ourselves as this avatar, this character in this big story, and we forgot that we are actually the observer, then we're gonna get lost in this life, and we're gonna feel separated from everything that is playing outside of us, separated from events, from people, from life experiences, whatever is happening into our life. Sometimes we're going to see ourselves as a victim because we're here and the event is there, and we're just experiencing it, good things or bad things in our life. That's when we identify ourselves with this big story, this big play, this avatar playing that story. And then we have the observer, which, for a lot of people, they just cut that connection with the observer, and they completely forgot that they're actually the observer, not the character playing in the story. But the observer is actually sitting in a chair and watching this big story, whatever you're experiencing in your life, whether it's pain, sadness, difficulties, challenges, or it's bliss, awe, joy, and happiness. This is just going to be sent directly. It's going to be information sent to the consciousness, to the observer looking at this story. So that's how and that's how I see this big, it's like a big technology. We have developed over the last few years these VR, virtual reality tools and devices that you can put into your eyes, and then you even can sometimes see videos of people having those big VR sets. And then whatever they're seeing that VR, whatever they see, whatever is projected into that VR set, they actually behave and as if it was true. And sometimes you see people being scared, or you see people like trying to fight or whatever, just because they have their big VR set and they identify themselves as whatever they see in the VR set. So that's basically the same thing. Technology is just catching up with what is actually what we are actually, and because we are the technology, the body is a technology. And when people are talking about, oh, I'm going to have a chip in my brain because we're going to be able to do this and to do that, we're just little by little remembering that we are the technology, and the avatar, the physical body that we have, is the most sophisticated technology that exists, because with this avatar, the consciousness, which is what you are, can experience life as if it was real, as if it was true. And they can sense it, they can perceive it, they can taste it. All the five senses are just information that is sent to the observer, to the consciousness, to experience this life in 3D reality. And when we change our mindset and we start to, instead of identifying yourself with the avatar and being a victim and seeing our external world as it's only true and being this separation and living this separation, when we start identifying ourselves with the consciousness behind it. And again, to me, I'm still integrating all this knowledge, still integrating all this understanding, because everything changes now when we are actually living our life from the lens of the observer or the consciousness. Because now we realize that the outside world is just reflecting whatever information we're holding, whatever information is in our field of energy that we have, or this consciousness that we are in essence. And now we start to realize that the consciousness is basically the projector. It's basically what is capable, what is able to project this big play using this big screen and make it real, make the movie, make the story real. But when we start to identify ourselves with a projector, this is where we can start collapsing, or we can start changing external circumstances, external events, and attracting things that we want to experience. We can reshape reality because now we realize that from the start, we've always been the technology, we've always been the remote. And whatever we experience that seems real in this life is just a big play that we can change whenever we want. We leave the rendering of this world, the rendering of the story in the screen happens in real time. It happens at the speed of light based on the information that we send to the point of singularity. And again, if you don't remember what I talked about in my earlier videos, when I described this big field of the double torus field, where basically we have information or energy going out of this singularity and then creating this big energy field following this torus geometry and then going back to the singularity. But when the energy is emerging, then it's just we're going to have our awareness or consciousness experiencing life, which is going to add the information of how we perceive the world, and this information is going to back to singularity, which is going to, based on the information we sent, is going to send us the same type of information, the same type of life experiences, or the same type of energy or frequency that we just sent. That's why we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. Because again, the game we're playing is everything is rendered at the speed of light. So it seems very smooth, it seems very real for us, but it's just this big rendering information that is done at the speed of light, creating this illusion or creating this physicality of this tangible world. But in fact, everything is projected from the point of the observer, the point of consciousness that we are. So now, and that's the point I wanted to make, is when we start seeing ourselves as this consciousness, this observer, now we start to realize that reality is bending, or reality is reshaping based on the information that we hold, based on the frequencies that we hold. So if we don't like something into our life, then we can change it, because we are the remote. We are the technology to modify the world we see outside of us and experience whatever we want to experience. So when we start seeing ourselves from that point of view, then fear starts to dissipate. Because what is fear? Fear is feeling powerless about a certain situation or about certain people. And we give our power away to those people, to those circumstances, to the life events. And then we have this fear because we feel small, we feel we're not capable of doing, we feel, and that's what is creating fear. But when we realize that reality outside of us is just bending to what we are, then why would I fear? Because I'm just in a game. I'm just having this big VR set and experiencing this big game that we call our life or reality, and we are the one playing at the same time by using these technologies that we call the body, which is the remote. But now if I can change the information that I hold, if I can change my state of being, that's why we call it human being, because the rule of the games are based on our state of being. So if I can change my state of being and start to embody and align myself with what I want to experience, then why would I be afraid? Because whatever happens can be changed based on who I am, based on the information I hold. And the reality is just this big mirror, this big feedback that is telling us what we are. And it's just giving us feedback of the information that we hold. And sometimes we have experiences or we have life events that happen to us or patterns that keep repeating themselves. It's just feedback that, okay, if I'm creating this or if I'm experiencing this, is because I have this pattern, this information in my state of being that keep attracting the same type of frequency. So I don't like it, then we can change it. And that's why I call suffering a tool, because now it's a tool that this is something we don't want to experience, and it's just giving us feedback of the stuff we don't want to experience to find what we want to experience. And sometimes we have to go through this. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what we want to experience, so we have to go through this cycle of suffering or this challenging to tell us that's not what I want to experience as an avatar, and I want to experience something else. But now I have this feedback, I have this attention, because when we suffer, that's usually when we start paying attention. We start paying attention. Why do I suffer? We start questioning things. And that's how I see suffering, is just this feedback. And that's when we can get more attention about our external world and say, okay, what do I need to understand here? Why do I need to change so that I do not keep manifesting this type of outcome, and I can change it. And then on the other hand, we can now really be empowered and really starting to be the hero of our own story and take our power back. And I think, to me, that's what has been helping me over my journey, is really to understand how much of my power I gave away throughout my life. And it was absolutely unbelievable. Like, sometimes I was not even aware, I was not even conscious I was giving my power away to certain people, certain events, certain circumstances, certain situations that made me fear. And that, to me, that was kind of the first, or one of the main thing through my healing. It was just to acknowledge, okay, I need to take my power back. I need to take my power back here and here and here, so that I can become sovereign again, and I can start to recreate the story I want to experience by taking my power back and starting by changing. Because again, we just, like, it's a technology, so we have we can program it the way we want to experience whatever we want. And the program is basically, the software is the brain. So whatever we're gonna program our brain, conscious, subconscious, our mind, that's what is going to manifest into our life. So now you can start reprogramming, because now you understand, you're taking your power back, and now you're going to reprogram your mind to attract better outcome and to experience things that you want to experience, instead of things you don't want to experience. So to me, and everything goes into the same direction as when I said in the past, reality is just a hologram. The way I see reality is just this big hologram, which is just based off information, based on codes. The same thing you could say for a game, just codes and information. And we are the remote. We are the one shaping or bending reality at will, and mostly unconsciously, because we don't realize it. And then we just victimize ourselves because something happened to us that we don't want to experience, but where in fact it's just feedback from this external world coming, like it's just a feedback to us to acknowledge so that we can change and change our state of being so that we can reshape our reality. But if you can live your life, and that's what I've been working on, live my life fearlessly, be fearless. I don't want to embody any fear anymore. I don't want to have any resistance. And I want to be surrendering to whatever. I don't want to chase. I don't want to fight to get something. All I want is to attract. I don't want to force anything. All I want is to trust, surrender, and being fearless. And that's what I've been trying to work on. And obviously, because for generations and generations, the human mind have been conditioned to believe or see the world from a certain lens, which as a consequence made our nervous system react or being triggered in a certain way. So we have to change and detoxify from all these behaviors, all this conditioning, all this knowledge that got transferred from generations and generations. So it obviously takes time, but once we have this intention to become fearless, once we have this intention to let go of all those resistances, all of those fears, all of those struggles, and just surrender and realize that we are source. We have this divine spark within, and try to embody it every single day as much as we can. Or sometimes what I do is when I wake up, my first thought that I have when I wake up in the morning is, I want to live this day as if it was my last. And how would I live this day as if it was my last? And I go for a walk and I feel the wind. I want to be more present for the people I am with, or for myself, or for whatever I can see and perceive in my reality. I want to be more aware. I want to be more conscious overall. And that's how we can just leave fear out of us, leave fear out of the equation. Be fearless, remove all those resistance, face, and surrender. That's the message, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you can perceive and start to live your life as the observer, as this consciousness looking at this big, big, big mirror, this big, big screen, and then start to change your state of being so that you can start attracting and manifesting whatever you want to experience, whatever your heart desire. If you want to expand a little bit more your knowledge about the stuff I've been talking about, but also understanding a bit more of the science so that you can transform this belief system that we have into a knowing system, I invite you to check out my book on Amazon, The Science of Breaking Free. I'll leave the link down below in the description. Also, if you like this video, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, share the video, share this content with your friends and family or people you think can benefit from it. And for now, I'll see you in the next one.